Hello everyone. I'm a little bit sick, so excuse the croakiness of my voice. I know I've been sick so many times this year, and of course it would have been me that's lucky enough to catch a cold during spring and summer. So typical of me. Anyway, the video is a little bit late because of that. Today I just wanted to show off the Hushwing collection palette, which is from Hushwing Watercolor. I have the link below. This palette is a combination of the Colonial and Cypress palette with the addition of Prussian blue. So basically all the watercolors in their range except for the trio, I believe. I got this watercolor set last year around Christmas time, and I think I finally used it enough to be able to talk about it properly-ish. This is the first and only handmade watercolor set that I have ever purchased, and the reason why I couldn't resist it is not only because of the unique range of colors. It's not the usual pre-made set of a cool red, cool yellow, cool blue, warm blue, blah 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 blah. But it is the perfect set of earthy, naturally tones. Yeah. Okay, so I'm starting with swatching every color myself to show how easy they are to re-wet, the transparency, and the difference between freshly wet paint that has just been applied and dry swatches from basically a year ago or whenever Christian did this. I didn't pre-wet any of the pans, and they all applied very creamily with the smudge color payoff. I usually find some of the earth tones a little hard to wet, especially colors like raw umber and sepia tones, but I had zero trouble with any of the colors in the set, except for the cypress green earth, but it's naturally been a weaker color of the set, and I believe it's meant to be built up and layered. Next, I tried mixing with a triad of colors that would normally be the red, yellow, and blue. I thought the closest to the primary colors were Colonial Red, Prussian Blue, and I actually couldn't decide between Cypress Jarosite and Colonial Yellow Ochre since they were kind of similar to each other. One's a little bit warmer, just by a little bit, so I did both of them. So a lot of great greens and neutrals were made from these four colors, but the orange was okay, and making a purple may be slightly difficult with this palette. I do feel like the Cypress Jarosite worked a little bit better in all the mixtures compared to the Colonial Yellow Ochre, but maybe my eye for color isn't that great and it's a bit off. Okay, so after the triad mixing chart, I decided to do a big mixing chart with all 10 colors. Some people do 50% and a diluted version of the same colors, but my charts are 70% of the colors across the row, so I can see a larger range of color mixtures. I still get confused sometimes when I make these charts, especially when I skip a color to let them dry before returning to fill the mixing boxes. And inside the palette there is a handwritten swatch card showing all the paints with mass tone in the undertone. I covered the swatch card with packaging tape so it wouldn't get damaged with all the water that it could be exposed to. All the pans are secured with a single but very powerful magnet that doesn't let the pan slide or budge even when I flipped over. One of the magnets did fall off the pan, but I just easily glued it back on with some super glue. My favorite color of the Colonial palette is the Colonial Violet, even if it's quite opaque, and I didn't notice it at the time I did the swatch card, but I will show it later on. But this paint has very subtle shimmers to it. I noticed it when I was playing with some salt on this paint and thought it was the bits of salt that fell off and created the little shimmers, but then I looked at my mixing chart under medium level light and I could just see it. I think it's a very adorable characteristic even if it's easily missed. I think it's the iron oxide pigment in this paint that is causing the shimmer, but it was really hard to show under a daylight bulb and actual daylight, so I managed to find a halfway point and capture it under, I don't know what it's called, fluorescent light or no, orange light bulb. Yeah, I'm sure you know what I mean by that. And this is also the first time I am exposed to an Altoid style tin. Our mints in New Zealand don't come in these type of tins, and honestly, I really love how compact and sturdy it is. I actually want to have more of these little tins to store other palettes for traveling, so it was actually nice to have it in person before I ordered some tins off eBay to do it myself. Alright, speed painting time. I decided to paint an ATC, artist trading card, of a pair of capybaras hugging in the natural habitat of, I think, a river or creek. I'm not really sure. I just see a lot of pictures of capybaras by like body of water. Apparently they really like swimming and they're adorable when they swim. I kept the background unlined to give it a natural vibe, but also so the capybaras would stand out. The colors look so soft and natural, which really goes with the capybaras, that I lined with a sepia fine liner instead of black, as well as the nice warm emotions associated with hugging and loving, I guess. I really don't know where I'm going with this. So I've used this watercolor paper before, cold press FABRIANO Studio 300 GSM paper for many paintings, and this is one of the first time where I can actually see the pigments settling on the valleys of the paper in a nice way, because the texture of the paper is still very visible in an aesthetic way. It's hard to explain, but it's easier to show in a pan over, so that's where you'll see what I mean by the texture. The price of this palette is, well, a little bit on the high side, but I think it's quite reasonable, at least to me. 155 USD plus shipping sounds like it's quite a lot, but the amount of work to hand mold these pigments and perfect a recipe of a professional grade paint with single pigment and the highest light fastness is a lot of work. Hand pull paints are dried in layers, so more moisture is evaporated, which means they generally do contain more pigment in a pan, so less paint is used to get a good color payoff, and you sort of get more for your money as well. So I no longer have any of the original packaging that came with the palette, but Kristen, the owner of Hushwing, puts a lot of attention to detail for it. And because of that, you can tell the amount of care and love she has for her product, which I really love about the Hushwing company. And that's it. I hope I was able to provide some information and insight about this amazing handmade palette, the Hushwing collection, which I will definitely 120% will get again when this one is used up. So I really recommend it. Thank you for watching. Until next time, happy painting and bye!